everyone, welcome back to my channel, Adventures with Amirah. You guys, I have been so sick, oh my goodness. So, it's the new year, right? So I'm going to be healthy and zen and start a new eating plan. No. So let me tell you what happened to me with my venture into the keto diet and that eating plan. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. So I'm diabetic, and before that I was told I was insulin resistant, and I've actually been gestational diabetic with both of my kids before I became full diabetic, and so that meant that I went on insulin shots, and even when I was on insulin they could not regulate my blood sugars. I was on 4 shots a day, 2 different types of insulin, long acting, short acting. It was just a mess, and every morning my blood sugars, my fasting blood sugars from where I would be sleeping were, I mean, through the roof, and they could not get them under control. They couldn't figure it out and couldn't understand why. Fast forward to now, over Christmas, I was just really bad. That's just the bottom line. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, you know when you shouldn't be eating something and you're like, oh, it's just the holidays. No, I should not have been eating candy when we went to Disney World. I don't eat candy normally. I don't know what I was thinking. You forget, oh, I'm just having fun, and you forget, like, you should not be eating this crap. So I ate all that stuff, and then right after that we went home to Georgia, so we were on the road all day where you're not going to the bathroom probably as much, and so I ended up with a urinary tract infection. Thank God I wasn't drinking soda, or it would have been way worse. I quit soda a long time ago. So I decide, okay, I get myself regulated back from all of that. I'm checking my blood sugars. I'm like, okay, we've got to get on a better plan. So I started looking into the keto diet for diabetes, specifically because it's been shown to help quite a bit with type 2 diabetics. But I don't have a doctor right now because my other doctor that I love, I can't see him anymore. Our new insurance, it doesn't cover him. So I had to find a new family practice doctor, which any of you that are with me on that, it's awful when you have to find a new doctor, especially when you have a really good rapport with the doctor you have. So I started this new eating plan and this new exercise plan and just a whole lifestyle change. Too much, too fast. My poor body went into some kind of awful shock. I ended up sick as a dog. I did look into a lot of medical research about the keto diet before I started it, and it was mostly stuff from different doctors. I even saw a few YouTube videos from doctors about it, but I didn't really look at the people who were actually doing the diet and looking at the side effects they were having, which isn't like me. Don't make the mistakes that I made. So let me tell you, number one, when you are on the keto diet, you cut carbs. Pretty much cold turkey, like you just cut all the carbs out of your life. All sugar, all breads, all pastas, all sweeteners, all everything, even Splenda. But when I started cutting carbs so badly, I didn't realize how much it would dehydrate me. And that's not something it really talked about until I started looking at other YouTubers that were trying the keto diet. And apparently for every gram of carbs that you eat, it holds on to a certain amount of water. Even with me drinking about 7 16-ounce bottles of water a day, I mean, like, you could see it even still now because I've been sick and dehydrated and stuff. My face, like, I started getting like wrinkles where I've never had wrinkles. My hands were all drawn up like I was 80 years old. I'm like, what is happening? And it was just my body reacting to that, and I did not account for how much extra fluids I would need. So that's a huge deal for you guys. I had the worst headaches, which I know were exacerbated by the dehydration, but also just not having the energy from the carbohydrate. Another thing I didn't realize on the keto diet is that you have to add so much saturated fat. And I'm used to high protein, low carb diets, but they want you like 80% fat. I'm not kidding. I did not realize how much fat you would need to add into your diet. And of course, it's a lot more stress on you if you're eating like this and your family's not eating like that, because then you're basically cooking kind of separately. I just got so sick with the headaches and stuff that I realized I cannot sustain this kind of life. Now, I have an aunt. She is 76 years old, and she hasn't eaten a carbohydrate probably just like a simple carb or something in about 40 years, I think. I don't know. She said she hadn't eaten a piece of bread. She hadn't eaten sugar. She doesn't like sweets. She doesn't eat pasta. None of that kind of stuff. Cereals, oatmeal. She's like, oh no, I would never eat that stuff. And I used to think, well, gosh, that doesn't sound very healthy. Well, she used to tell me this years ago. Well, she's 76 years old and she looks amazing. And her energy is through the roof. And so I know that it's sustainable, but because I'm looking for not just some fly-by-night diet, I am actually trying to get my blood sugars under control. I mean, ideally, I would be able to come off of my type 2 diabetes medication eventually. If I lose weight along the way, that's even another bonus, because I'm sure my joints and bones will thank me for that. So if any of you have been on the keto diet and you have any advice for me, please let me know in the comments down below. Another thing that I learned on this diet is that your immune system really needs carbohydrates to feed certain types of bacteria usually, but if you're going to cut carbohydrates, you have to adjust for that, and that is not something I realized. So, you know, most of our immune system is based in our gut, in our stomach, and the flora that we have in there, you have good bacteria and bad bacteria. Well, when you cut out carbohydrates, sometimes the bad bacteria can overflow your system, which is probably why I got so sick, because I don't normally get sick like this, where I lost my voice for almost a week. I mean, it was pretty rough. There's certain foods like bone broth is really good to help supplement the good bacteria in your gut. And there's certain like blueberries, I think, are really good for bacteria. And there's other things that you can do to try to accommodate for that. I normally take Activia yogurt and will eat or drink some of that every day. And I was cutting carbs, so I quit doing that. But I really needed to facilitate other types of probiotics into my diet, and I did not know that. So that's something that was interesting to learn about too. That's one thing that's happened to me over the last 2 weeks, is I was actually able to take time and do more medical research and learn more about what was going on with my body. When I first started the diet, I assumed that my blood sugars would automatically start dropping immediately, because obviously if you're starving your body of carbohydrates and you're not putting any sugar in, your blood sugar should theoretically fall, right? I did not think that it would take as long as it did. And so I was like, what is going on? My fasting blood sugars have always been high, and I mean like 280 and up. And so I'm like, what in the world is going on? How is this even scientifically possible? If there's no sugar going in, where's the sugar coming from? And it was at that moment, from my medical research, I realized the sugar's coming from within me. It's coming from my liver. And I did not realize that all this time. All these doctors I've seen all over this country, and nobody had explained to me that when you have diabetes and when you're insulin resistant, you naturally store extra fat into your liver. It's just like a side effect. Well, I was told a few years ago I had the signs of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And the doctor knew it was non-alcoholic because I don't drink alcohol at all. So that was automatically ruled out. A lot of people used to accidentally get diagnosed with alcoholic fatty liver disease because they didn't realize how badly insulin resistance would affect them and their liver. And then it was just kind of a subsequent symptom of being diabetic. So I started trying to research about why in the world is my blood sugar so high when I'm not eating any carbs, like less than 20 grams of carbs a day. And I mean no hidden carbs. I mean, I even counted, like I had a piece of gum one day and I counted those 2 sugar alcohols in there as 2 carbs. Like, I mean, like I was like strict. So apparently when you're diabetic or insulin resistant or you have metabolic syndrome, your body naturally stores fat into your liver. But normally throughout the day, your body releases glucose and there's not as much fat. Like you can kind of process through it and it kind of pushes it out. Well, in the middle of the night, you release hormones to help you right before you wake up. A few hours before you get up every night, your body will naturally release cortisol, which is like a stress hormone, and that's kind of to help gently wake you up. It also releases glucose from your liver. So then when I realized that, I'm like, well, so is my liver just dumping glucose, and why is it so much? Well, when you have fatty liver, there's nowhere for your body to store the glucose that you're eating all day. So what normally happens is it builds up over time, and the way it described it in one of the medical journals I was reading, it's like a sausage in a skin, and you have just jammed that sucker full of fat. I'm like, This sounds great. I just have this big, giant, fatty liver. That's just nice. So there's nowhere for the fat to go. It's like you're trying to put 15 pounds of stuff into a 10-pound sausage, and it just is constantly dumping sugar. Well, and then your body is trained to naturally dump sugar in the middle of the night. That's all humans. But when you have too much, there's nowhere for it to go. So I'm like, oh, so even though I've cut carbs out completely, I'm still going to have to wait for my liver to readjust. Now, I don't know if you guys have any medical research that I can look into. Please link it down below. Let me know. I don't know how long it will take to get my liver enzymes back to normal, to get my liver to where it's not as fatty. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure this took years and years to get to this point. I seriously doubt when you've been insulin resistant for over 10 years that it just goes away that quickly. So I'm thinking it would take a while to burn off that fat. I know with me, I have to exercise to get my insulin resistance under control. It's just part of my body type. Some people can do it with just diet, but for me, I really feel like I'm going to have to exercise more and do all of this together if I eventually want to get to the point to where I don't need to be on medicine. The last thing I want to do is just push myself to the point to where I need to be on insulin, because that's just ridiculous. If there's something I can do to help myself now, that's what my goal is. For me, when I added a little carbs back in, my blood sugar went down. So go figure. And when I exercise, it goes down even more. We went walking yesterday for over 30 minutes, and I did other exercises here at the house with the kids and my husband, and then my blood sugar was like 180 this morning, which isn't too bad considering I had a sweet potato last night. It was a plain sweet potato and I only ate half of it, but it's still carbs. So, you know, you kind of really have to gauge what's going to work for you. That's another thing. The keto diet isn't going to work perfectly for everybody. And with me being on diabetes medication, I have to be so careful that my blood sugar doesn't spike up or bottom out and whatever. So let's hope that when I get to the doctor's office that he knows something about insulin resistance and he can help me kind of go through this. But like I said, if you guys have any advice for me, let me know down below. I'm all ears on that. I'm all about a new year, new me, trying to do anything that kind of, you know, can get me to a better place in life. I want to live a lot longer and be here for my kids. My parents both died, you know, when I was younger. My dad died when he was only 49. I was 16, and so that was really, really difficult for me. He died of cancer, so there was nothing. I mean, it just was really a short time before he was gone. We found out he was sick, and 6 months later he was gone. And then my mom died in her early 60s. And, you know, my kids don't have that many grandparents. And so I want to be in a different place when I get older in life to be around. Oh, sorry, I get emotional about that. But to be around for my babies, I can't wait, you know, till I have grandbabies. And I hope I'm here for my great-grandbabies one day. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to get old, or I don't want to be a grandma. With the luck that my family's had, I will be blessed to be here to be a grandma, so I'm not as concerned about that. I'll just be happy to be alive. I'm a busy, busy mommy, and I'm constantly taking care of everybody else before myself. That's just my personality type. So this year, I've decided to be more about taking a little bit better care of mommy so she can continue to take care of everybody else. It was rough on my family the past few weeks. They're like, Mommy, we're not used to you being, you know, so sick and stuff. I was like, I know, honey. And I was steady trying to, you know, you have to wash your hands even more when you're cooking, especially when you're cooking for other people, because I didn't want to get anybody else sick. And, you know, you still have to do laundry, and there's all these things that still have to be done. Life goes on whether you're sick or not. It's just been a long road, but I am trying. I really am trying to do better. And I want to let you guys know, I have a video coming up about how we bought a new computer and we were hacked by Dell, like a Dell employee, and there was a Microsoft person that involved in this scam. What a nightmare. And this has been going on for 6 months, and we're still not out of it. So I will do a video about that for you guys. Just say I would never buy a Dell computer ever again. Alright, so I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for sticking by me, and see you soon. Bye-bye.